welcome back to our show, your show, Let's Talk Stocks. In studio with us this morning is the Kalilah Reynolds of Kalilah Reynolds Media. Very important lady, maybe number one financial journalist locally right now. Welcome to the show, Kalilah.
Hi, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
All right, Kalilah, we joke about it, but you've taken on this financial journalism in a real way, unlike anybody has done it before. What caused you to venture out like that?
So it's an interesting story. I started out as a journalist, just regular journalist, doing everything from Tivoli in Courgette. I was out there on the road interviewing people from all walks of life, from the garbage man right up to prime ministers. And then at some point in time, I started transferring more or getting more into financial journalism because I liked those stories. I was interested in those stories. Most people have this perception that financial news is boring, but I don't believe that. Like, I've always seen the sex appeal in numbers, to put it strangely, right? Numbers tell an interesting story. Numbers tell a story about how an economy is evolving, about how a country is evolving, about how companies are doing, and how these impact our lives. And so I always looked for the stories behind the numbers, and that led me into financial journalism, working for some of the biggest news stations here in Jamaica, until eventually I branched out on my own to launch Kalilah Reynolds Media.
No, that's an interesting story, but you must have been very brave. A good friend of mine, Gary Peart, used to say, financial stories are not sexy. But you found a way to make it attractive. People want to follow you, they want to listen to you. Why branch out on your own in an uncharted territory?
Because I was working for companies that didn't see the sex appeal in financial journalism. And no matter how I tried to do it, it wasn't getting the airtime that I thought it deserved. It wasn't, so I came up with the idea to do Taking Stock, which is a financial business show about an hour long. And the two major networks passed on it. They literally said to me, financial news is boring. I literally heard that as feedback. So I said, okay, I'll do it on my own. Since you guys don't see the vision, you guys don't see the demand for the information that I am seeing on social media, you don't want it, I'll do it. I'll take it out and make all the money off it.
Interesting. Social media has revolutionized media and the way content is consumed. Would you say that has helped in a big way, or has it helped any at all in getting your stories out there? Once upon a time, everybody tried to consume everything via traditional media. Has social media made the difference and made it any easier for you to have taken that
plunge? A million times easier. It's democratized content creation. So 10 years ago, if I wanted to do what I'm doing now, I would have had to purchase a bunch of equipment, have a nice studio like this one, get a broadcast license, all that stuff. If I wanted to do free to air, you need to get towers across the country, millions and millions of dollars, a huge investment. When I started with just my cell phone and an internet connection and my mind. So zero startup cost versus the millions of dollars that would have been required to do it traditionally. So everybody now has access to create their own content, which of course there are pros and cons to that.
Yes.
But if you have quality content, that is going to rise to the top.
And as I'm sure you do have top quality content being out there, how has it changed for you in terms of traditional media and now going out there, Kalilah Reynolds Media, putting out information that people really want? And what's been the feedback? How has that been for you?
I feel like more people know me now from what I'm doing now, even though I've been in traditional media for over 20 years. So people see me like, you're the lady from TikTok.
Yes.
I see you on YouTube. I watch your show. I watch Taking Stock. And I'm like, look at this. I've been doing traditional media for all these years. And that's not where you recognize me from. You're recognizing me from TikTok, which I've been on for 1 year. And in 1 year, gaining 120,000 followers. It's pretty remarkable, the change, the amount of lives you're able to impact on a wide scale, because then people can share it. So if you have these videos on your devices, it's so shareable, and that's what makes things go viral. and makes people be able to relate to it more.
Do you believe our traditional media has missed out on great opportunities by not paying more attention to financial and entrepreneurial information, business information generally?
Absolutely. So I say all the time to my friends, because, well, I have many friends in journalism, having worked in the industry so long. A lot of journalists become journalists because they hate numbers. They're like, I don't want nothing to do with maths. I love English. I've majored in English and literature. I want to write all day and I can speak well. I'm going to do journalism. And then, so when the time comes to report on business stories, which require us to look at financial statements and look through the budget, they don't want to do that. But they don't realize that there's this richness of information within those stores, within those numbers, those statements, everything that's happening in business. This year alone has been a massive year for business news, financial journalism in Jamaica. So you've seen the year started with SSL.
Okay,
And that whole scandal. And then we've had all the developments at NCB with Michael Lee Chin. Then we've had the big story with iCreate. And then right now, the most recent one is Dollar Financial CEO resigning suddenly. Everybody wants to know, why did he resign? What's going on? And then we see another story about Paul Simpson, the founder of Cornerstone, and how he acquired Barita. And all of this is juicy information, not to make light of what's happening, the serious implications of what's happening at these companies. But it's very sexy. It's very, very interesting.
It's not unlike what happens internationally.
Right.
And suddenly we've seen it unfolding before our eyes, and which in and of itself says something is happening in our economy. If we are now seeing the kind of moves to take over companies, which we normally only read in the textbooks and so on, or international news, but that's happening right here locally in Jamaica. You're excited, being the financial journalist that you are. What's the bigger picture for you when you're seeing these things?
The thing is, it's always happened, but it just was never reported.
Okay.
Or if it was reported, it was 30 seconds in the business segment and you don't hear anything much about it. Now it's front page news. So there is more interest because there are more shareholders in these companies. There are more people who are investing, more people who are becoming aware. And so when you have that, you have tens of thousands of shareholders and investors, is that the accountability hits different, doesn't it? As opposed to when it's 500 people or 200 people who are, in charge of this company. Now you're accountable to tens of thousands of investors, and they're all calling your offices wanting to know what's going on. Why is the share price plummeting? Why are profits down? Why are revenues down? Why did the CEO suddenly up and resign? It's a much bigger level of accountability now, so the stakes are much higher.
And I want to talk about some of those things later on. But because those are critical information. But I wanted to look a little bit at Kalilah Reynolds Media. What is it? What has it become? And what's the next steps for you?
Interesting you asked that, because when I started it, I didn't even fully know what it was. I wanted to create a website. I'm like, the questions the web developer was asking me, I couldn't even answer properly. I'm like, what are we? So we are a media company. We make business and finance easy to understand, but we provide not just financial news. I realized very quickly that we also needed to do financial education. Right. So because in some instances, in order for people to understand the news, what's being reported, they have to first understand what are all these terms that we're talking about. What's the NAV, the net asset value? What are stocks? We're talking about the stock market. People don't even know what stocks are. So we started providing financial education, which is how Money Mission was born. Money Mission is our financial education community where we have a group of people who are interested in, we have investors, we have entrepreneurs, those types of people who are in the community online, exchanging information and ideas. And then there we also host several courses and webinars as well for people to learn. So we do the news element, which goes out on social media, on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and all that. But then we also have the education side. So those are the two main planks of Kalilah Reynolds Media, KRM.
And based on your demographics, which group you'd say are your main followers, viewers, on social media?
So it varies by platform. On
Okay.
YouTube, the viewership is 70% male,
Oh,
but on Instagram, that's reversed. So on
okay.
Instagram, it's like 60% female.
Wow.
But we are seeing consistency in the age, demographics. So mostly 25 to 44. That's the core, and then you do have some, outliers on either end as well.
Would you say, certainly your foray into this venture of reporting financial information has changed the appetite for this kind of information, has changed the landscape altogether? Are there more people, you think, wanting to know the information, or is it that they were there before, but because nobody provided it, they were just docile?
I think so. I'd like to think that we have made an impact, and a significant impact on the investment appetite in Jamaica. We get the messages all the time. Keep them coming. I love them. I love the feedback when people say, because of you, I opened my first investment account. Because of you, I'm holding this dividend check. I love that,
Yes,
So yes, people who first were unaware, completely unaware of what the stock market was, they are now investors, and they're now, following this information, holding companies accountable, and making profits. Even though it's a difficult year this year, and we have to be realistic with people with those expectations and tell them, listen, we are in a bear market right now, and you can't expect significant returns quickly, which a lot of people started for the quick profits, and they had gotten accustomed to the IPO fever,
Yes.
and the quick flip, and within a week you double your money, you triple your money. That's not happening right now, and so that goes into the financial education as well, and letting people know these are the expectations, what realistically you can expect. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You are helping to grow a company by becoming part owner of that company.
Looking at the media operations now, do you think there are much more, well, I'm seeing a lot more people trying their hand at what you've expertly done. Do you think that area will grow and expand rapidly? You'll have much more competition, and therefore you'll have to maybe step up the game a notch to remain?
Well, there's always an advantage to being the first mover. So I was
Absolutely.
one of the first, and so there will always be people who come after. There are people who came before. It was done, but not on the same
Not
level
on the
that I
level
was
that you're
able
doing it.
to achieve. So I am inspired by all the people who are trying their hand to do it now, and I love that there are more people doing it, because it takes the pressure off me to have to report everything immediately.
Yes.
So when I first started, and it was just me, as soon as an IPO drops, I have this pressure to try turn it around, read the prospectus in one day, get the video out by tomorrow before the IPO opens. But now, even if I don't do it, there are other people who are doing it. It's gonna be done. So I love that other people are out there doing it. And what it also does is it increases the number of people who are aware. So let's say you start your channel, and people learn about this through you, and then you're interviewing me on your platform. Now they learn about me, which they might not have learned about me before, but because they follow you, now they know about me. So it increases the general pool. I love it.
Or maybe because we're interviewing you, everybody will know about us.
And vice versa, exactly.
Kalilah, we're gonna take a break here. Based on what we're discussing, there's so much to talk about. Can't do it in one 15-minute segment. So we're gonna take a little break and come back with a second part of the interview, which is really, I think, the juicy part. As we always say here on Let's Talk Stocks, we give you information to make better financial decisions. Come back with us for the second segment of our interview with the Kalilah Reynolds of Kalilah Reynolds Media.